everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Figure It Out, the show where three guys convince you that it might be time to pull the ripcord on this whole action figure thing. I'm Joe. With me, as always, are Mike and Tyler. Fellas, how are we doing?
Good, man. Good.
Right.
All right. Well, as I briefly just jokingly mentioned, however, we are going to spend the rest of the episode crying about more price hikes from Hasbro and beyond. But before we get into all that, I think we got some new acquisitions. And by we, I mean Mike and Tyler, because I don't believe I have anything. I've just been working away.
That's not
in
true,
the
man.
lab,
I delivered
just
some
doing,
stuff to you on Saturday.
Oh yeah. It's still in my wife's car. It is the it's been a whirlwind. It's been a weekend. But yeah, the G1 Retro Sea Spray and the X-Men Legends, or the Marvel Legends X-Men 97 cable.
Yep.
Which I have the feeling that we will be seeing one of those in just a few moments.
Both.
That's how you know you're a true collector, when your queue builds up so much that it's like I can't get it into the house. It's in the car still. I gotta. Yeah.
I still would prefer action figure queues over miniature queues that just become a gray pile of shame of unpainted miniatures that I have to get around to.
That and my carpal tunnel is the reason I stopped.
That is my eyes are also not what they used to be. So
yeah,
and lighting becomes a lot more important. But
I got something for you. I'll bring that to you Saturday.
So, all right. Well, so that's me and my acquisitions. Although partially, I spent Saturday assembling somebody's Devastator with my wife. Not a euphemism for anything. We were at the kitchen table at our parents' house, and I was trying to put Devastator together, trying to get him transformed all into the car modes, and then trying to follow the instructions. Wound up taking long enough. My wife we had some running around we had to go do, but she knew I wasn't going to leave until we had a fully assembled Devastator. So she, being the sweetheart that she is, she jumped in and bailed me out. I wasn't going to say helped. She bailed me out. So, but that was a lot of fun. I'm sure pictures will happen at some point. But yeah,
the reason I'm not going to show it is because Tyler's supposed to be doing a unboxing for his Devastator. So I remember him saying that. Hopefully I'm not putting him on the spot.
Yeah, I'll do it. My God, don't think I won't. I'm going to do it. I'll do it. I'll film it. I'm just, as soon as I get that, I've got one more that's, I think, going to be delivered to me shortly. And when I get that, it's game on. I'm going to put him together. I already know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get him built. I'm going to build Superion, and I already know what I'm going to do. So I'm very, very excited to make that happen.
I feel bad for Superion now.
I just hope that
it's not going to go well for Superion. Just a heads up.
I just hope that Superion likes Stone Cold Stunners, because he's probably going to get one.
Yeah, it's not going to end well for him. Not in this house.
All right, Tyler, what you got?
Couple things. I am in the midst of, as we've talked about briefly, doing some custom builds that I have been looking forward to for a while. One of the ones, my daughter has started to get into the action figures, and as I get the stuff out and I'm working on things, she comes in and grabs them and wants to play with them. So she is super excited. So I'm working on building a custom, and I want to build a custom for her that's like a figure that's obviously won't be a kid. It'll be a grown figure, but one that's kind of like my figure of her. And so I'm in the process of looking for fodder for that. And in that search, I came across a figure that I thought, I might use this as pieces, or I might keep it because it's a character I happen to like. And so I snagged, that is the X-Men 97 Emma Frost. And so can't decide if I'm going to use. Obviously, I would not use the body for my daughter, guys. I would use the head. She's a blonde girl. So
yeah,
just so we're clear there.
I think that's cool that they gave two head options.
Yes, that's actually one of the reasons I got it. So I can actually I could keep the figure technically intact and also use the alternate head for a figure for my daughter. So put her on a classified or on a Valaverse or something like that. So anyway, stay tuned for that. I'll at some point get around to working on that. Also, we went to Target the other day, and long story short, when my daughter was born, or right before she was born, I hired a friend of my wife's who's an artist to paint a mural on her wall. If Joe, if you remind me, I'll send you a picture of this so you can show it to people. But what I wanted painted on her wall was a Tatooine scene where you had Darth Vader and Padme with their daughter holding
Oh,
a girl.
Oh,
And
that's
so
cool.
this mural, well, it's like I mean, it's a full wall size mural in her room. Was that from the moment we brought her home until we moved out of that house, that mural was there. I don't know if the owners have painted over it. They probably have, but she mentioned the other day that she liked that picture and she missed the man that was on her wall, who was, of course, Darth Vader. As we're walking through Target, I pointed this out and she had to have it, and it made me so happy that she had to have it. I haven't opened it yet for her, but I will. And that is the Black Series
ooh,
New Hope
Oh
Darth
man.
Vader. And it's a
it's a
really good
beaut.
looking Vader. Yeah, it's a good one. So,
It's got that's the
um,
one with the robes on the outside of the shoulder pads.
yep, yep, it's a good looking Vader. So anyway,
Is
that's
that
going to be
like
hers.
first Black Series figure?
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome, man.
It is. And then as I was walking around, I saw something that made me immediately think I need to tell Joe about this. Turns out he already had it, and then I was like, well, I want it, and that is a
Yeah.
really good looking sideswipe. I'm sorry, guys, the camera is not picking up great angles. There, it's a little better. That's a really good looking sideswipe. This is a very common mold. I know, Joe, you know this. They've used this I don't know how many times. It's a great mold. It's easy enough to transform that pretty much anybody can do it, but it's got enough steps that it's still satisfying to transform it. And obviously, it's just a gorgeous figure. And I love the paint scheme on this one. So super excited um, to snag this guy, and he'll be unboxed, and probably while I'm on meetings, I'll be transforming him. So that's what I got for now. More stuff coming, but hasn't quite made it to my door yet.
Oh, if
Awesome.
if you are sad about missing out on Tyler's unboxing of Sideswipe, do not be sad, because I have it on good authority that somebody here filmed one and edited the video and has scheduled it, and it will be coming before the end of the year. So be on the lookout for that.
Mike, what do you
Yeah.
got?
Tell us what you got. Show us. Show and
Let's
tell.
see.
Good old
It's like a
Grimlock.
Grimlock.
A Grimlock. Look at this.
Yep.
Looks so cool.
He's shiny.
It is. And he's
Could
got
use more
Wheelie.
blue.
Oh,
Him Wheelie, him friend.
I I I know you're a
That's a
G2
figure
guy.
right there.
Look at that rock and roll, man.
Yeah. Good old vintage rock and roll. Um, and then, of course, gotta have Homegirl cover girl.
Yep. That's a great fig. Super excited to drop her in on the vamp clutch.
Yep. Then I got the Sea Spray.
Sea Spray.
Yep. He's a homie. And then I'm stupidly excited about this one.
Oh, I'm excited about that.
Oh man. As soon as I saw that, and then I was like, man, it's so I saw a picture of it was on Instagram. They had a picture of their Jinx action figure kicking Pythona. And I was like, that's a really cool picture. And this guy right here, man, how cool is that?
That's a lot of plastic.
That's a lot of plastic, and it's cool.
Hurt.
And I got to say, I was sitting there when they announced that Apocalypse, debating if I was going to get it or not. And it's like, man, that looks so cool. And it's Apocalypse. I was tempted and I rejected it. I was like, man, Tyler's gonna have all the Sentinels if we really want to do any kind of photography stuff. And I was like, I could maybe get that Apocalypse. And then I looked, and then it showed like Cable with the Apocalypse, and I was like, well, now I have to get it. I thought that was like them pulling my punk card. Retro Flint. It's not the collector's card back. I don't know.
That's okay. That one just seemed a little too AI to me.
Yeah. Daredevil.
Ooh,
From Born Again.
Oof.
that's a fig right there.
Yeah. I really.
Man, you're bringing the heat this week.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It was my turn. I know we're very we're very cyclical. And then Hadash
That's
Rendar.
the dude.
Boy.
I've killed many of droids with this guy. That's it.
I mean, that's
Yep, that's it.
as far as I'm concerned, being the '90s kid that I am, that's a certified first ballot All Stars. Just solid group of hitters right there.
That's a good crew.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, after this episode, putting them all away, because I get kind of spazzy about everything has a place and everything needs to be in its place.
Yeah, I've got to do some reorganizing on my walls because
you don't say that.
No, I need to, for me, because I have an influx of Shadows of the Empire's Black series, which is the problem I've been waiting to have for years now.
Yeah, that is true.
And going to need to sequester myself in the lab and get to work. But in the meantime, moving on to more sad. Well, I got one thing. So I'm working on a group of customs for G.I. Joe. And I found the upper body is actually Budo fodder for the Budo figure. And this is the mass device breaker lower body. So I'm gonna do something really cool with Stalker and add him to like a group of like urban counterterrorism Joes that I've been working on. So
that looks amazing. Sad but true. Mass device breaker is a figure that apparently doesn't exist in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Can't be found.
Apparently, it's one of those Target manager exclusives.
Yeah.
Shout out to the homie Elite Legend for coining that phrase. At least that was the first time I've heard it. It was on his channel.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, speaking of Target manager exclusives and sadness, trying to collect plastic, man, that's all we're trying to do. Like dinosaur fossils dug up from the earth and processed heavily into shapes familiar to us because we watched cartoons and read comic books growing up and movies. That's all we're trying. That's all we're trying to get. And Hasbro and the powers that be are dead set on making that as inconvenient and expensive as possible. So let's just get right into it. We were hit with the news. First of all, let's go share this. Back in July, we were told that Hasbro CEO warns that toy prices could start to rise in the fall because of the tariffs. And I'm not going to read through this. There's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them. You can check it out. We might link it in the page description or the video description. But so this is just kind of the preamble. This was kind of the Silver Surfer, if you will, the Herald of Galactus back in July. Now it is October and Hasbro's raising prices across Hasbro Pulse and in stores. You guys have seen this, and we will also link some of the stuff. This is just on Yak Face forums. If you don't follow him on Instagram, you should. It's a good source of information. But this is just talking about, I believe it's just talking about Star Wars Vintage Collection and Black Series. But the the price increases are line wide as far as not just being Star Wars, but G.I. Joe, Transformers, all the usual suspects. So let's get into it, guys. Do y'all need this left up for a bit, or you good to just get into it?
You can get into it. Yeah, you can get into it.
Okay.
Looking at that, the thing that strikes me is now the vintage collection price was the same price as the Black Series when I started getting into the Black Series in 2021, and that's just 4 years. That's insane to me.
Yeah, if only we knew that the writing was on the wall then. But they've also been really good about dangling carrots of just like, hey, we know that our fan base isn't really feeling the Disney sequels, so let's, while we're fulfilling our obligation to Disney by making toys that nobody wants to buy, we're going to have to pepper in really high demand stuff like Star Wars Legends, an expanded universe, to keep our customer base trying to come back, just at least popping in, checking, making sure that we have stuff for them to buy. What do you think, Tyler? I know you got stuff to say about it.
Yeah, I do. First of all, Hasbro's it has said that this is the result of the tariffs. No, you're not going to show me on that. Hasbro has a convenient scapegoat in the tariffs here. They're just harvesting margin from their customers at this point. I think they've seen some things in the market that have told them that their customer base is willing, and so they're going to go collect more money from their customers to do that. And I'll tell you why. If you've watched this channel, you know that I have become a really big fan of the Action Force Valaverse line that Bobby Vala puts out. And I would put those figures, with a couple of exceptions, guys like Clutch from the Vamp. I mean, there's some good figures in Classified, right? But what I'm going to say is if you take the mainline Valaverse figures, the named characters, and put them up against the Classified series, the Valaverse figures are better. They have more articulation. They're higher detail. The paint jobs are better. The accessories are better. They're actually putting a lot of thought into more realistic stuff. They're better figures, in my opinion, pretty much across the board. Maybe the one gap is they've had some packaging issues where they've had like these types of packages where the plastic has separated from the cardboard, like in shipping from China. So, like there was definitely some kind of quality control issues there. But other than that, they are better figure. At the same time, Hasbro has announced that they're raising the price of their Classified series, Black series, whatever, to $27.99. The Valaverse has lowered their prices to $27.99. So what you've got is a small niche manufacturer here. It costs them more to manufacture figures. There's nobody out there that has any understanding whatsoever of how production of these types of things works, that's going to sit there and tell you that Valaverse gets figures made cheaper than Hasbro. They don't. It's a question of volume. Hasbro, it costs them a lot less to make the figures because they're making a lot more of the figures, and these companies that manufacture them give them a lower price because they're making more volume. Valaverse makes a significantly less volume. They're a significantly smaller company, and they're using the same factories in China to do this stuff. So they're lowering prices at the same time Hasbro's raising theirs. They're subject to the same tariffs that Hasbro is subject to. So Hasbro's using tariffs as an opportunity to raise prices here. They're making more money on these figures than Valaverse is already. By virtue of being a smaller manufacturer, the Valaverse guys had to charge a little bit more because they pay more to have their stuff manufactured. Plus, it's generally better quality stuff. And now we've seen those two meet in the middle where Valaverse is coming down, Hasbro is coming up. And that tells me that this is not a tariff thing. This is Hasbro looking to make more money. There's a conversation to be had. If anybody has had a corporate job before, I worked in a corporation, a Fortune 50 corporation for 14 years. I climbed high enough in that company to see a small percentage of the what I call the corporate bloat. So I mean, certainly Hasbro has that to deal with, and Valaverse probably doesn't because it's a much smaller entity. But the reality is the savings they're making, they have on manufacturing offsets all of that. So again, Bobby Valaverse lowering prices to $27.99, subject to the same tariffs that Hasbro is, and Hasbro's raising price at the same time. So this is not a tariff thing to me. This is Hasbro looking to harvest margin from their customers. Somebody in their marketing department has told them that people will pay more for the figures and they should raise the price and just pocket the profits. And that's what I think is happening here. You're going to be very hard pressed to convince me it's anything other than that, especially with the evidence that other companies are lowering prices at the same time Hasbro is raising theirs, and they're both subject to the same, like I said, same tariffs. So at the end of the day, I don't like it. I'm not happy about it. And if I thought the reasoning for it was actually the reasoning for it, I could understand a little bit more, but I don't believe that for a minute. The Valaverse stuff is great evidence to say that's not the problem. The problem is just Hasbro wants to make more money on their customers. So that's how I feel about it. I think it's bogus. I think it's a crappy move at a time where we were just talking about this before the episode. Like we've all been tightening our belts a little bit, right? This is not a time where we have as much freedom and disposable income as we maybe have had in the past. And so I think it's a really bad move. It's a bad look. It's poor timing. Not that there's ever going to be a time where we'd be happy about a price hike, but they saw a convenient excuse, jacked up the price, and it is what it is. You either keep collecting or you don't. Don't like it. Is the net of that. TLDR, Tyler doesn't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And the thing that confuses me is, in COVID, they said they're going to raise prices, and a lot of companies did, and those prices never came back down. So it's not like these prices are going to go down. Like look at the vehicle market too, right? Those vehicles haven't came down yet. There's talks of, cheaper lines and because they're just not selling like they were, but I haven't heard Hasbro say, hey, this is only going to be temporary due to the tariffs. I haven't heard the word temporary. So this is going to be the denouement, this is going to be the new normal. And, I'm looking at these prices and I remember I bought a Zeb for $29.99 and that was the deluxe Black Series. And now the new standard Black Series is going to be $27.99. And that started out at $19.99. And then that's the new vintage collection normal. And that's just been over, 4-ish years. That's insane. This is the graphic that I came up with, just looking at my first orders. And what was crazy is in 2021, it started out at the beginning of the year at $19.99 for Black Series. And then in Vintage Collection, it was $12.99. By the end of the year in 2021, I imagine that was the bump for COVID. Was that $3 and then $1. And then things leveled out. Vintage collection kept creeping up until, in 2022. And then 2022 saw, $24.99. And then the $24.99 for classified Black Series and Marvel Legends leveled out in 2023. And we got that $2 price hike in 2023 for vintage collection. So between 2021 and 2023, there was a $4 spike. That is insane. And then everything's kind of stabled out in 2025. So now we're looking at $27.99 for Black Series and then $19.99. So that's $3 difference for vintage collection. And that's been their staple. So in 4 years, we'll be nice and say 5 because it's, going to be 2026 here pretty soon. It went from $12.99 to $19.99. That's way above the average of inflation per year, right? So
Yeah, I did the math on the so on the deluxe, the standard Black Series, that increase for that 5 years, 29%. That's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But what's more ludicrous is what you just said on the vintage collection. That increase is 36%.
and that goes back to what I think about, your point about marketing. The vintage collection people are, very loyal, passionate. They're going to pay $19.99 or until the fans collectively say, "Nah, man, that's enough. We're not willing to pay, X." And if I was Hasbro, I'd be thinking about what's that X? What's that variable in there that fans will finally be like, "Hey, nah, man." Like the variable of repaints, right? Hey, let's do a repaint of this. Let's reuse the mold of this. Like I think of the Chewbacca figure, the repaint they tried to get with Black Chrysanthemum. I don't understand how they were like, yeah, we'll just repaint a Chewbacca mold and call it Black Chrysanthemum. And that's, where the fans collectively said, "Nah, man, like that's not going to fly with us. Nice try. Try better."
You make a good point there. And by the way, those Black Stanton figures are all over Ollie's. If you guys haven't, if you want that figure, you can go to Ollie's and get them for peanuts. They're everywhere.
I got the real one.
But I mean, is it a calculated risk? Was it worth it to Hasbro to kind of throw that knuckleball across the plate and take their chances?
I wonder how much of it is just them just trying to navigate the market, and how much of it is them paying Disney to retain the toy rights.
Yeah, could be that
for Star Wars.
And maybe Disney coming in and saying, you have to make figures for my Boba Fett show, which was Star Wars malpractice in what they did in that show. Horrific. Black Stanton, actually a cool character.
There were flashes. There were flashes in that show, and that's what was frustrating.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like so that show should have just been Black Chrysanthemum ripping Trandoshan's arms off in a cantina.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sign me
sir.
up.
Yeah, that's and they could do that and print money, but of course they're not going to do that because they're Disney. No. I wonder if some of that was Disney coming back and saying, you got to make figures that I'm making called Boba. That's going to ruin one of the greatest characters in Star Wars. I'm calling it Boba Fett. And Hasbro said, cool. I have a feeling that show is going to suck, so I'm going to make this as cheap as possible. And the manufacturing cost on a repaint of a mold that already exists is got to be dirt cheap. It's got to be pennies because the mold already exists. All of that stuff's been done. You're literally just changing up the painting. So I think they probably produce that as cheaply as they possibly could. Calculated risk is a good way to look at that. Say, hey, I'm going to risk as little as I possibly have to, and hey, it was a bust. They're all over, like I said, they're all over Ollie's for peanuts. So anyway.
I also wonder how much, hear me out, how much of the secondary market pricing they're using to potentially justify these price increases. They're like, hey, they're willing to pay 2x, 3x. I remember I bought my Quinlan Voss. I don't know. I'm a nerd. I paid $50 for it and didn't bat an eye. Didn't think twice. So I'm not going to stop collecting vintage collection. It's just, I've always been the guy that is not the completionist. And if it's something I want, I'm going to get it. And that's not going to change with the price. But, then earlier in this episode, I said, till the fans say stop, right? So what's the value of X? But I'm definitely going to be a little bit more weary of what I buy. Like it's going to have to be something I really, really want. Not just kind of want, especially in vintage collection, because of that $12.99 price point, I'm going to get it. if it's just something I kind of want, just because it's such a low entry level fee. But now that we're at $19.99, and who knows where else we'll be in the next couple years, that's going to get a little tighter. At least that's how I'm looking at it. I'm not going to say I'm going to quit. I'm just going to be a little bit more weary. So I wonder how much that secondary market is making them say, hey, people are spending 30, 40, 50, 100. So why can't we just start creeping up our prices if they're willing to pay that?
There is no question about it. I will bet you my entire original 80s G.I. Joe collection, which is a very prized possession of mine, if you know me. That includes a flag, by the way. That they are spending
subtle flex.
subtle. Yeah. That Hasbro is spending millions of dollars in market research to determine that they can raise the price here. I can tell you, again, I've never worked for Hasbro. I never will work for Hasbro. I don't want to work for Hasbro, but the Fortune 50 corporation I did work for, I got to interact with the marketing department. I say got to, had to, on occasion. And I'm talking to people who are making millions of dollars a year. Some of them that would make college football coaches blush at the amount of money that they're making a year. And they were freaking clueless. But by goodness, they were marketing gurus apparently, and so there's 100% people out there that Hasbro's paying a lot of money to, probably have no idea what's really going on and don't realize that somebody's paying $60 or $70 for a figure. It's because of that specific figure. It's not a general willingness for the average Hasbro fan to spend that sum of money on a figure. So anyway, I don't know how much the secondary market's factoring in. It probably does. But I can assure you that they're spending a lot of money to determine that they could do this. And really what they could do is not spend that money and just keep the price where it is. Stop spending money on all that kind of crap and just sell your toys. It's at the end of the day, it's really not that hard to make figures and vehicles, because I'm a vehicle guy, that will sell. I think you can go out and you could go to any community and you would not have a hard time finding people that could tell you what you need to make and it would sell.
Yeah.
We could give you what you need to print money, but you're not going to do it because you got to pay somebody with a specialized degree and spend millions and millions of dollars to get the wrong answers. And it's just silly.
The thing that's also frustrating is the quality. The quality has been good lately. Like with the classified series, they've had some bangers lately. Yeah. Like you look at Transformers, which we haven't really discussed in this episode, and those molds, like the aerial bots and the Constructicons, man, those molds look good. And then you were talking about the Sideswipe mold from earlier, and they're doing such a good job at Transformers and G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends. They're all, seems like they're improving, and that's good. So their, execution side of it is good. It's just, man, that pricing, that creep, it's just steady.
They're figuring out what people will pay, and they're figuring out people will pay. I mean, that's you guys mentioned the COVID pandemic and the prices that went up, in 2020, 2021 zone, and I challenge you to go name a product that the price has come down on since then. A good type product.
Yeah. Companies generally don't lower. They raise.
We're not getting it back. Yeah, we're not clawing that margin back, guys. It's the companies they're just putting it in their pocket, and because they figured out people will pay it. It's unfortunate. I am curious for you gentlemen, and I don't mean we can talk about this later if we have more to say on the subject, because we might. We could probably talk all night about this, but I'm curious for you two gentlemen. Is there somewhere in your mind where you're like, I've drawn the line and this far, no further, I am out if it gets to here?
This line, no further.
This is my line for Black Series. Like, this is it.
Once you got your figure out, yeah.
Yeah, but then, of course, once you know it, they showed off at New York City Comic-Con just a few weeks ago that Kyle Katarn Black Series. So I was like,
I have to.
There's my new line.
Yeah. See, that's my thing. I know myself. If I see something I want, I'm going to get it. and so I don't have a pre-designated line, but like I said, it's my shot group's gonna tighten. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna. It's not like I'm dialing back, but like we were talking about earlier, like I was looking at our pre-orders at our list, and I highly doubt, there might be some less motivation to buy stuff, but there's just not very much that we're interested in, at least on paper right now.
Yeah. Or some of the stuff is hard to find. Like I want the Ghost Viper, but I can't find it around here. Some of that kind of thing. But I agree with both of you, by the way. For me, it's about some of the impulse stuff that it's really going to shut down for me. So I'll give you guys an example. I bought the V2 Law and Order Classified from Amazon and got it delivered, and I haven't shown it off. I mean, that's technically a new acquisition for me, but Mike showed that in last episode or the episode before, and it's a beautiful figure, and I love it, and I'm thrilled to death to have it. And I walked through Target, and again, it's so rare in our Targets in Oklahoma City to find anything worth a flip. But I
Especially
saw
G.I. Joe.
there, especially
Mhm.
G.I. Joe. There it was, V2 Law and Order sitting there on the shelf, and I was like, whoop, grabbed it because I'm like, well, I got one, I'll take two because I love that figure, and I have plans with the. I have specifically have plans with Order, like what I wanted, some things I want to do, and one dog is good, but multiple dogs is better for some photos and that kind of thing. So anyway, I was like, I'll do that, and then I walked around with it in the cart next to Sideswipe for about 10 minutes, and the whole time I was going in my head thinking about it, and I ran it past the price scanner in Target, and it just hit me. It's by the way, at Target was $46. Like it's Amazon is like $45. So like $1 or $2 more at Target. And I was like, 46, that's $50 to me. Like I'm rounding up. That's like, that's $50. I'm not doing that. So I went and put it back. So that's the kind of stuff that the pricing for me is going to shut down, where I'm like, I want to get another one of those. I don't have to have it, but I kind of want that. And yeah, I want it. Yeah, I'm going to get it. No, I'm not going to pay that for it. That's too much. I love that figure. That's too much. And so those are the behaviors that I think it will change for me. I will be perfectly honest with you guys. The last vintage collection figure I bought was Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. I bought them at the same time from the Obi-Wan show. Those are excellent vintage collection figures. We won't talk about the show here because that's a whole other topic of Star Wars malpractice. But those figures are phenomenal figures. They're really good. And those are the last two that I bought. They may be the last two I ever buy. It would take a specific figure that I don't have or that I really want to get me back, to circle back around. They're too expensive. Again, I'm the same boat on the Black Series. I'm not going to, I showed off that Vader that I bought for my daughter because she wanted that Vader, and it's a good Vader. So yes, I got that. But, I'm teetering on a Dash Rendar because I do love that character. I love that little area of the universe. Shadows of the Empire is cool. 100% gonna get a Kyle Katarn. 100%. So there are areas that I might go buy a figure, but my days of collecting that stuff as a whole are gone. It's too expensive. That's where I'm at. Like those are the behaviors that's changed for me. Like it's got to be a heck yes for me now at this price to get it.
Yeah.
It's got to be a home run figure, and there's just not that many of them.
I'm thinking about vintage collection, and as I'm looking at it, there's not much I want. Some stuff has been released. They might do like a re-release of the Revenge of the Sith Anakin, where they did this thing where they did two prints of the same figure. One was Anakin and one was Darth Vader, right? So that would be cool if they did that reissue, but like I'm looking at my Ghost, and I'm looking at, the Chopper and the Sabine. Not a lot of stuff I want from vintage collection that hasn't been done. But it's like I know me. If I see something I want, I'm getting it, and I'm not going to apologize about it.
What you're really saying is collectively, myself included, we are part of the problem that's kind of causing this. Is that
it's me?
If you release the right stuff, we're going to pay for it.
I look at it like this. I was super stoked when the Transformers were getting a live action movie. And I went to that movie so excited. And the first one was good for what it was.
Good.
But then after that,
Shout out Megan Fox.
it just became a farce of itself. And then eventually we got Mark Wahlberg playing a Texas engineer with the thickest Boston accent. And it's one of those things where like I would still go to those movies, but I would pay my money for my ticket. And as I was doing it, I was just like, however much the ticket prices were back then, I was just like, I like to think that my money is going to Peter Cullen's paycheck because I love that man is still alive and that he's still doing the voice of Optimus Prime. And I want him to I want to contribute to his being paid. There are a lot of talented engineers and designers and manufacturers working at Hasbro. And whenever I pay my money for these action figures that bring me a lot of happiness and also bring my children happiness that I can share with them, I like to think that, as naive as it might sound, that this money is, as I'm handing it over and it's getting more and more and more, that it's helping those good folks out, feed their families. So,
something that's interesting, and this is another thing that happened during COVID, is of the return of the secondary market. I'm brought on by the stimulus paychecks. If I don't like any of the releases, I noticed that if I haven't bought a fig in a while, I'll either go to someplace like Hiya Toys or Ramen Toys and I'll buy something from there, but I'll also get like an old figure itch, like give me something a little bit old.
that was
Something
fun.
with some seasoning on it,
There was nothing like during like the height of COVID times looking at eBay for old G.I. Joes just so I can keep in the top drawer, like the diaper, like where we stored all the diapers and wipes, so that I could like put one of my boys on the changing table, try to change his diaper, hand him a rock and roll or hand him a Wild Bill, just to give his hands something to do so that they're not trying to actively jump off of the changing table while I'm trying to change him.
Yeah.
Like,
so Tyler, maybe we make a return to the vintage stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, so I've unboxed, I say unboxed, it's literally unboxing, but it's taking out of moving boxes some of my old 80s G.I. Joe collection, and I'm starting to take stock of some of the pieces and parts that I need. The Tiger Force Snowcat is one of the first ones I pulled out of the box, and to be honest, I forgot I had that.
Oh man.
So I don't have the missile rack, so I'm missing the missile rack. I'm missing basically all the ski pedos. I'm missing all of that stuff. But the vehicle's there. The rack that the missile rack goes on is there. The I don't call it a hatch, but the windscreen that comes up and down is there. So the bones are there. So some of what I'm going to start doing over the winter time, that's something I'd like to do, is start going back through and fixing what's broken, replacing what's missing. The stuff that I got when I was a little older child, like my original Sky Striker, we've talked about that. It's gone and it's in pieces. I was too young, but I loved it. Still love it. The stuff that I got when I was old enough, I took care of it. But you have things like the Tomahawk. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody that had a Tomahawk that ever got played with that didn't get the blades broken or bent or whatever. So, I want to get my OG Tomahawk out and replace all the blades. I want to fix all the stuff. I'm going to finish my collection out. I want to bring everything back up to, maybe not brand new condition, but good or very good condition. So that my collection is back up, and then kind of decide from there.
Are you trying to do full OEM, or are you trying to do 3D printed stuff too?
OEM. I'll do 3D printed if I have to, but I don't think I'm going to have to, because I don't have any of the crazy rare Night Force stuff, or like a Night Force Sky Striker missile's like $80 for just the one missile. Like, I don't have any of that crazy rare stuff. So the flag could be a challenge to get that all the way back up to there. It'll probably be the last one I work on, because it'll be the most expensive one to work on. The only thing I will say, Mike, as far as aftermarket's a great question. I probably will go with aftermarket decals.
Okay.
I've got some of those folks out there that are making repro decals they're really good.
They're
They're
probably
actually
better.
probably better.
Technology's
Yeah.
upgraded.
Yeah, they're better than the originals. So I'm not ate up with it has to be all the original like decals and stuff. So anyway, I'm looking forward to doing some of that. I think that'll be therapeutic for me to go back and restore
that could
some
be
of
an
stuff.
option for folks out there that are so tired of the modern stuff. Price increase, go back, don't
Reject
stop collecting,
modernity, embrace
and then
tradition.
go back to the stuff you grew up with. That could be an option.
So, in summary, price hikes bad, toys good, but like most things in moderation. Yeah, I think we did
Price
it.
hikes bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
all right.
Let us know what you guys think of those price hikes. Let us know if you're going to tap out, or what are you guys collecting now that you're like, hey, I'm in it. I'm not getting out. What's some of your I gotta haves?
Or if you've gotten out, have you made the jump to something else like cardboard that is currently taking all of your money? Are you just gaming? Are you hanging out? Are you living that hobbit life? Are you just eating snacks and just vibing in nature? Like that sounds cool too. Let us know. Hit us up. We have officially crossed the threshold of 50 subscribers. So
Man.
give yourselves a hand.
Yeah.
You're so lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You guys rock.
So
Can I tell you guys something? I'm sorry, Joe, I interrupted your monologue.
Oh no, go for it. Yeah.
Can I tell you something I saw that made me laugh? That's literally my life. I saw a meme where a guy, it's an older guy, buys Battlefield 6, which I bought Battlefield 6. And he's like, I'm so excited to play Battlefield 6 with my friends. And you see him, he walks in his little gaming room and he gets his headset and he puts it on. And then you see him in the next frame and he's vacuuming the carpet. And then in the next frame, he's picking up his kid's room. And the next frame, he's cooking dinner for his presumably for his family. And the next frame, he's like sitting in a chair asleep, having never played Battlefield 6. And that's my life. Like I bought that game. I got to play beta a little bit. It was amazing. I haven't played a minute of that game. And it's been out for like 2 weeks now. Because I just can't I can't sit down for 5 minutes and play. Like I need to play for like an hour or something. And I just can't get it. So anyway, speaking of things,
let us know. Let us know what you're playing.
Yep.
Do you collect the toys of the things you're playing too?
Or are you one of those really committed people that play miniature board games or miniature games?
Are you pushing plastic across the table? Like, let us know. Speaking of miniature board games, our friends over at X and One, they're doing their Star Wars Legion GT. They're hosting it, the Oklahoma Open. We actually have some prize support that we are going to be donating for that. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars Black Series, wink, wink. And yeah, as far as announcements going, I just finished scheduling unboxings through the rest of the year, meaning that we're still going to do our regular episodes like this on on the regular release schedule, but the off weeks, they are no longer off weeks. You're going to be getting some form of unboxing / content. So from here on out, for the foreseeable future, at least to the end of the year, you're seeing us once a week. So hopefully you look forward to that as much as we do. So as far as that, I mean, that's all I've got. Do you guys have anything?
We're going to do a fig hunt in November. So be on the lookout for that.
Right on. Well, when it comes to Hasbro's, and I'm sure it's not just Hasbro, I'm sure Mattel and everyone else is doing it. When it comes to the action figure price hike of 2025, you guys helped us figure it out. Take care. See you in the next one. But when it comes to the action figure price hike,